Welcome back, guys. You are welcome to Miss Haven. If this is your first time seeing me, my name is Gifty. I do videos on grad school, personal experiences from international student, and we also do a little bit of natural hair content. So please do look around and stay. If you are a returning subscriber, thank you very much for coming back and for clicking on this video. So today, as you may have seen by the title of this video, we are talking to an international student who came in the spring semester. Get to know more about the gains, the struggles, the culture shock, the personal, struggles, and then, the fun things that she had, whilst coming to school in the spring semester. So I hope you do like this video. Give this video a thumbs up, like this video, comment down below if you like this video.
Alright, guys, so if you're coming to school in the spring semester, please do watch this video, watch till the end, and I'll see you at the end.
All right, welcome, Miss Ruby, to Miss Haven. I'd like to welcome you to this channel and honoring my invitation to being here and sharing your experience so far for being in the US as a grad student. So before we get into the main, topic for today's discussion, I want you to, introduce yourself and tell us a little bit about yourself. Just brief. Yeah.
Okay, so thank you, Gifty, for inviting me to your channel. And actually, I think that's my first ever, like channel to be invited to every day. Maybe I rather invite people, but this time around, I'm the guest. So thank you so much for this honor. I go by the name Ruby Kodiah, yes, aka RJ, and I'm a current graduate student major or concentration in mathematics, yes, and I'm happy to be here.
Thank you very much for coming. So let's get into the real business for today. I want our audience out there to know how it's like coming to school in the spring, and I know you are in the best position to give us, the full details. So, the first question that I'd like to ask you is there a particular reason why you decided to come to school in the spring?
Okay, so thank you for your question, Gifty. And to answer the question as to if there's any reason why I decided spring, so actually I was admitted for fall 2020, but due to COVID restrictions, I had to defer to January, which is spring semester, right, to take the course. So it's not as if I deliberately like chose spring, but the main intention or the former or previous intention was to come in the fall. And I happened to find myself in the spring, and am I a spring victim? No, I'm a spring candidate. So yeah, yeah.
All right, thank you very much. So, how has living in the US been for you? Like the past, almost a year that you've been here.
Hmm.
How has just generally living in the US, as a student and as like person, how has it been for you?
Okay, how has it been? How has it been? So in one word, I'd say it has been interesting. I mean, stressed, interesting. So, in a paragraph, I would say I am ever learning. I don't really so know the system yet, but I have had to do deliberate adaptations, like some form of adaptations that I have to do. So one with the weather, two with what I eat, like cause I know back at home, like Ghana, like we can eat kinky, but even kinky in US tastes different. Like, trust me, even if you should get the same condo, I don't know how it happens, whether the weather has some effect on the foods, but trust me, it doesn't taste the same. So, in terms of food, in terms of weather, in terms of the educational system, it's very different. In terms of finances, I think in the US, it makes you more independent when it comes to finances because at home, I get my mommy to, provide the money for the cooking, and I don't pay rent. That's new to me. I don't pay rent. I don't pay for washing. Like, I don't pay for almost everything I'm doing is being paid, and that's the new surprise to adulthood in the US. And I think the educational system too is quite different from what we have at home. Here is more practical based and understanding based, and that may be my, like, for instance, memorization might not take you far. So it means a lot. There's a whole lot. So I'm sure you're going to find out more throughout this session. So in summary, that is it.
All right, thank you very much. That's true. Surprise. So let's get into grad school itself.
Mm.
How is studies like for you? Coming in the spring and also, for the 1 year that you stay here,
Mm.
how is it like for you studies in the US as an international student?
Right. So this is a good question. And I must say, like, to be frank, it's very hectic. Like, it's really hectic, and it can be stressful sometimes. So that's why you have to learn some skills to put in place, or to be very time efficient and manage your time to be able to be very effective as a student and also as a graduate teaching assistant, because yeah, that's your work that you are doing, and that's like the scholarship is not so free, like free. You have to be working to be paying for all this, all those fees, and that's how the scholarship comes. So trying to mend the two, your school work plus the work you're doing, which is like a graduate teaching assistant or even a research assistant, you need to be very effective with time management. And I must say, especially for my first semester, that was the big change for me, because you can't just memorize, as I mentioned earlier, memorize some stuff and go and write your exams and pass. Because for your information, most schools, I don't know for every school, but I know most schools, have like the grade A, starting from 90 to 100. And I don't know for your school, for any international students watching, but I doubt most schools have their A's starting from 90 and above. And it means you have to double your efforts. What you might have, the effort you might have put in to make an 80 in your home country to make an A is quite different here. And you must understand what you're doing. Because it's not as if they're going to bring up some questions where you've memorized and just produce, but you have to understand, because there could be, turns in the question to test your understanding. So that's the adaptation I also had to do in my mind, to blend and fit in and be a good student as well. Yeah.
That's very true. That's very true. I can relate with some things that you're saying, but still in grad school, because there are different aspects. I heard you say GTA duties. That's what we were going to ask. The next question that I was going to ask from you. So, what is GTA? How are you coping with it? And all that. I just want our audience to know what GTA means. Starting from whether it's a funding or it's not, and all that. I mean, and in your experience too.
Okay, so GTA actually stands for Graduate Teaching Assistant, and it comes in the form like of a scholarship. So let's say for some schools, it comes with research, but I'll major on mine, which is teaching. So you teach maybe twice or three times, or you have to attend class twice or three times in a week. And in exchange for that, your fees is being paid. So as an international student, I don't think most people are able to pay that amount of fees required of us to pay. So let's say like an exchange, in exchange for your fees to be paid, then you have to do this teaching. And mostly for my case, I handle undergrad students, and specifically I teach college algebra. So that's basically it. Yeah.
Wow, that's very interesting. I think it depends on the school that you are, because I do teach
Mm-hmm.
introduction to statistics. I know
Oh.
other GTAs take college algebra, linear algebra, pre-calc, and then
Mm-hmm.
calc 1, calc 2, like all
Right.
the math undergrad courses that you would find. Okay, so thank you very much for the clarity on GTA. So the next question is, how is um, assignments, homeworks, quizzes, like for you, and then I want you to talk in perspective of coming in the spring fall. How was it like?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so for assignments, quizzes, I think generally it's with respect, like it depends on what kind of lecture you have. So maybe for online courses, there might be different rules guiding that. And in person, because my school does both. So in person classes also have different rules that guide such quizzes or homeworks or exams. But I would say for my first semester, for even homework, so one of the courses we had homeworks where you're free to do group discussion and everything prior to the quiz or the exams. And it was very helpful. So I would advise everyone, intending to come in spring, especially for people who have taken or who are to take courses where you might not have prerequisite knowledge about, the foundations of that course, to inculcate, the habit of group studies and talking to other people who know the course more than yourself, then also seeking out, for help from the professor in question or for the course that you are studying. And you'll be good. I mean,
Yeah, you'll be fine. There's help. Use it wisely. I mean, I know that where we are coming from, there is help, but not really like how there is a lot of help here in the
right,
United States.
right.
So yes, do use it. It's available. Use it wisely. So now let's get into how transitioning from Ghana straight into the spring, in the
Mm-hmm.
US, and how it was like for you to blend in the cohort that has already spent a semester here. And then what would you say was like the biggest thing that you missed out, in terms of, I want you to talk in terms of internship opportunities and some of the things that you will miss out when you come in the spring semester as a student.
Okay, so when you come, in spring, I'm not saying if you get spring, I mean, that's bad luck. You can find your way out. That's why this session is being held. But one of the, or maybe I can mention too, so for internship, you would meet other people who, other students who came in the fall due for internship for your summer break, between May and July, August, early August. And you find out as a spring student that you do not qualify to take an internship, which happened to me anyway, but I'm still smiling. So, and there are reasons for this, like not just because spring students are being sidelined or anything like that, but it's a rule for international students that before you qualify for internship, you should have been admitted, I think, a minimum of 1 year or equivalently 2 academic semesters. So for you, the spring student, you would, by the next summer, you would have just, spent just 1 academic semester, which is not enough, and therefore will not qualify you for internship. So you should know this before you come, so you don't feel like this is racism or Black Lives Matter or anything of that sort. No one is really against you, but it's just a system. So get acquainted to that. Then I also think for filing of taxes, when you come in spring, I think maybe there's also a rule. I don't know the major rule or the specific rule, but we can all also file for taxes the next year. So this year, I came this year, but I could not file for tax this year, and I'm only eligible for next year in 2022. So that's one of the things that you should also keep in mind. Don't feel like is this something? Is it like a bad omen for spring students? No, it's not a bad omen or anything of that sort. But you should just know something like this exists for you, the spring students. And then also most of the courses offered in spring are sometimes, not always, sometimes a build up of courses offered in fall. So if you're brave enough, like myself, maybe, to take courses that have prerequisites offered in the fall and you did not do it, then you have to psych your mind and prepare your mind, mentally to study all those prerequisites on your own, on your own, or maybe with the help of friends, of course, which I also did that as well. And go for it. It's still possible to pass those courses, even though you may not know the prerequisite enough, but it takes more energy. But if you have the fun or the liberty of doing courses that you already know the prerequisite, it's also cool. But if you have no option, you can still do it. I mean, you got this.
You've got this. So let's before we get into the fun part of how the weather is, the culture
Ah.
shock, let's talk about this very important. I feel like it's very important for every international student to know
Right.
finances, money, US dollars. I mean, when you're getting here, you're like, oh my God, I'm gonna get 27,000 US dollars. You've already counted in your mind what you're going to use the money for. Let's talk about how finances is like here, and then maybe you can also advise us on how to spend your money, and then how to go about, and then advice us on how the
Okay.
finance world in the US is like.
I like this
Yeah.
one. I mean, so I had a friend here, who was working. I'm sure, I hope she does not chance on this video, but who was working in Ghana, I mean, a very good insurance company. And when she saw the funding, I mean, the amount of funding given or credit assistantship, she's my course mate here. And she started sharing her inheritance in Ghana, kind of. So she was giving out her monies because she thought, okay, so I have this X amount of US dollars that will be given to me. So I'll be rich, I can go for vacations. And she did all that only to get here, and reality, hits her in the face. So there's a lot you should know about this whole funding. And number one is, I would say, ask your graduate coordinator or whoever it's serving as a liaison or anything of that sort to get to understand the state of your graduate assistantship, or maybe whether research assistantship or teaching assistantship. But in general, your scholarship, you should understand, because most international students do not know that when they get to the US, there's something called insurance that you might have to pay, or most students pay. Maybe it might not be paid by the school. And you would be surprised that there are little fees that you'd also have to pay. And for some people, they are lucky to be paying around 400 a semester. I mean, 400 USD, 500. But for us, we are paying somewhere about like 1,500 every semester. And if you're not financially prepared already, you're still adjusting to weather, it can be a shock to you, and you might mess up your first semester. And the way the grading system works, once you mess up your first semester, you might struggle to keep up good grades for the rest of the semester. So one thing you should do as an incoming spring student, or even for fall, is to find out what your funding really means and be sure of how much you are expected to pay. So if you're able to get that money, at least how it makes your first semester, peaceful, less financial stress. Because imagine coming here and you have to pay rent. We pay rent monthly. Some people can do 6 months, 2 months, but I think the usual one is like monthly. It could start from $300 every month. It can be $500 every month. When you're washing, you pay every washing time. I must say, there's a lot of things to pay, like for gas, for lights, and it's not negotiable. So if you are coming and you have a lot of fees to pay, like surprisingly, and you did not know, now adding to, all the other things you have to maybe buy stuff like cooking utensils, bed sheet, comforters, you have no idea. So prepare financially before you come. Gather as much money you can gather from your home country. If it means charging every uncle or auntie $100, please do it before you get here, and it's going to be really helpful to you. And don't exaggerate your funding. I'm sure most of us, tell our parents, okay, so I'm coming to US and I'll be paid maybe, let me say roughly, just plain $200 maybe every month. And you're happy, then you try to convert to your home country's currency. So I can say, okay, so I'm converting to Ghana city. So if it's 200, I can say roughly 1,002. Like, hey, 1,002 all for me in America, then I'm rich. My sister, my brother, wake up. That's not America. In America, that $200 will not be the same. So that's one of the realities you have to wake up to. You should not, always do that conversion from home thinking is the same value. It's not. And one of the fun facts was when I got here, I think I was getting peanuts from an African market. And it actually cost about $8. And that was my utmost surprise. I'm like, oh my God, there's this peanut heel concert. Like, that's because I did a conversion that these are $8, it was 6, 10, over 40 cities for granite. Like, I mean, why would I do that to myself? But trust me, if you come with this conversion issue or conversion habit, you might end up buying nothing. So for finance, I think you should be very, very cautious, even with your credit card. So there's a card we use here, and a credit card. I'm sure most of you might have heard of it. And your credit score has a lot to play, even for employment. Sometimes, so your credit score has a lot to say about your credibility. So to be safe, you also have to make sure if you're taking money, then you should be paying, all kinds of, issues like that. So your finances really speaks a lot about you. And when you come here, I know it's good. I know you can do credit card swipe and get anything you want, but remember that you have to be paying for that at the end of time. So just be super cautious and remember the people at home. You have to be sending those little momos and the others. Yeah.
Yes, send wave is still working. It's very active. Just don't come with that mentality of coming to spend all your money on unnecessary things. The money would go by itself. Trust me. You don't even have to spend it. So now let's get into the fun part, the culture shock. Coming in spring 2021, the weather, what you met, how was the US, the food, the people, the language. It is a problem for people, having to transition from their home country where you can literally be in anybody's business. So let's know how you saw, America for the first time, how you were shocked or maybe not shocked.
Okay, so I think maybe I'll go from weather to food, then to class, I guess. I hope I remember. So for the weather, so I came from Ghana. So Ghana's temperature, we are all aware. Then I get out of the plane and I'm dumped, like just dumped like this into New York. And it was, I think it was snowing time. I just looked at my roommate and I told her, this feels like the freezer. Is this really America? Is this for real? I'm in jacket, like, I always heard, that the place is cold, but I did not expect something like that. I know I'm able to withstand cold, but not to that extent. And that's my first, surprise. I have to move everywhere with jackets. I'm somebody who likes to be fashionable. And all those jackets, I mean, don't look too fashionable to me. I want to be off shoulders and things. And my friend, there's not a time to be dressing. It's a time to protect yourself from the cold. And you might be wearing boots. You might not be wearing heels. So that's also part of my, my adaptations. Then for the food, I remember I went to, a restaurant and I'm expecting to see fried rice because to me, I didn't know much. To me, I was thinking, okay, so anything ricey, it's America, so they should be good with rice. Only to realize they are kind of foods, my sister. Forget about the rice and the banku in Ghana and just do your own thing, Joe. So you might get rice, you might get chicken. Even the chicken might not be so crispy like the Ghanaian one. Because I've even tried KFC, which we have in Ghana and we have here. But trust me, the taste here is different from Ghana. I don't know, maybe the weather affects the taste of food here. I don't know about that. But the kinds of food, going to a restaurant, you should not be thinking you're going to find banku or yam or even rice and stew. You should just, be open-minded when it comes to food. But if you think you can adapt to foods here easily, there are some states that have, African markets close by that you can get your local stuff like condo and the others, but know that they are more expensive than the regular food. And if you're ready to do high spending, then that's your own. But I don't advise that you do African foods all the time. You have to meet them, halfway to save your finances. Then I would say for academics also, one of my biggest shock was seeing students ask the professor questions about the exam in the exam room. You dream not like you better. It's either it's a dream, or it's a wish to do that, like from the school I graduated from. So it's either you are dreaming or no, it cannot even be a dream. Like to ask your professor, remember a course like stochastic analysis, like Jack, oh my God. It will only be a dream. So I don't even want to talk about it because the words are not even coming. But to ask the professor, and to the extent that I had one student asking the professor, is this answer correct? Like, oh, so people are really free here. People are really like, I don't know, but they are interesting. I mean, interesting people to be with. And it shows the kind of freedom and easy accessibility to your professors. You have issues with your quizzes, homeworks, they are always readily available to help. So that's one of the things I think was quite shocking. They don't mind titles. You can call your professors by their first name, just go meet them, is office hours and the others. And I think it's something very helpful, which we can also inculcate in our home country too.
Yeah, what about the language?
Oh, the language, like one of the things that I get fed up, I don't like hearing it is when people do that, huh? Like, see, I know I'm talking, and I know I'm speaking English. I'm not speaking I'm not speaking French, and I'm speaking the huh like that. And they say, oh, you have an accent. So trust me, don't even be fooled by the way I'm talking right now, because you can be talking more than this and still not be very audible. I don't know how that accent comes about, but like you might hear or you might keep hearing the fact that, okay, so international students or some or most international students have accents, and you have to flow with this. There's not a limitation for you to say, okay, I'm not coming to the US because of this, but I believe with time your accent changes. So it will, you adapt and you'll be fine. Yeah, that's good.
Yeah, so we'll be fine. I know language should not be a barrier for you or something that is stopping you from coming to the US if you have the opportunity. Yes, you will hear the huh and what did you say? And oh, you meant that. And then you will be frustrated. But trust me, it gets much better, as time goes on.
Right.
So, let's wrap up this. I want you to give us, an advice for all those that are coming in the spring semester or people that are opting to come in the spring semester.
Okay, so to wrap up, I think before you come, you should have your goal set. What kind of student do you want to be? Do you want to be like a kind of student that, the professors have in mind all the time? And be committed to those goals and be ready to adjust. Don't bring your old methods of doing things here and expect them to work. Once you're doing something and it's not working, be ready to adjust. America is a free country, but you can be your better self here. So I advise that you should always be able to adapt in the right way and be committed to the goals with which you came with. Thank you.
Yeah. That is thank you very much. Two fun facts that you may not know. The first one is both of us are all actuarial science, part students. And then the second one is Ruby has a channel, and I'm going to let her introduce the channel to us so that you can go and subscribe and like the comments there, and then you will love it, I know. So Ruby, what is your channel about? And then what's the channel's name?
Thank you, Gifty, for making me hype my channel here. So
Yeah.
my channel is called, or it's named RJ Speaks. Okay, so on YouTube to be specific, RJ Speaks. So RJAY, then Speaks, SPEAKS. So I often do, career stuff like actuarial. Then when I find some relations with, the mathematics I learn and the Bible studies I do, then I find the link and do some videos. So literally, I'm a math, I'm a math fan, or
You're a
like a
math lover, I guess.
enthusiast, or yeah, right. I think that's the right word. Yes, I'm
Yeah.
a math
It's
lover. So
amazing. I do love your content. It's amazing how you see math in the Bible and then
Mhm.
try to like connect the lines and makes us understand all the lovely things that we already read about and then also
Mhm.
see a different perspective. So I really do love your channel. Please do go and then subscribe and then
Yeah,
watch
yeah, yeah,
all the
guys.
videos that are here. I hope you do like this content. And if you do, please comment down below that you do so that we come up with more of this content so that you hear of, other international students that are, really share their stories and personal
Mhm.
experiences with us. It never gets boring to hear people talk about their experience because you are trying to move in the same direction. And it's always good to learn from people that have been there. So
Right.
thank you, Ruby,
Thank you,
for coming
Gifty.
on this channel. I
You're
really
welcome.
appreciate you. And bye. Have a great day.
Bye.